So, hi YouTube. It's been a couple of days since I made, yes, hi. It's been a couple of days since I did anything. But some of you may have noticed that right now I don't sound very good and I look like hell. I finished finals week. I had everything done on Wednesday. I actually had a little bit of time, probably about 4 hours to study for each of my tests. And well, actually not even. I thought that my zooplankton exam was at 4, and it turned out that it was at 2, and I had another exam at 12 for limnology, so it was at 10. So I got done with it by 11, I went to get something to eat, and I came back and studied for a little bit, and then me and the partner that I did my experiment with for that class, we decided to get together and study from 12 to 2. And so I had a 8 to 10 page paper due. 8 to 10 page paper due on Wednesday, and so I did that. And I needed to print it, and so I thought, okay, well, sometime after 2 I'll go down and print it, and then I'll have, from like 2:15 to 4 o'clock to study. And so right about like 2 o'clock I went to go to stand up, and the girl who's in the lab, Susan, she's like, oh, are you going to your exam? To our exam, because we were in the same class. She's like, oh, are you going to the exam? I'm like, why would I go to the exam now? It's not until 4. Or something like that. I think I said, why? And she's like, well, and I was like, something about, like, is it at 2? And she was like, yeah, it's at 2. And I was like, uh-oh. Actually, I might have used some other words, but so I ran over there and told him that I didn't have a chance to print off my paper yet, but it was finished, and so he said to give it to him right after. And so I was really, really worried about that class, because we actually had about 44% of our grade determined in the last week, which was actually finals week. We had an assignment due on Monday that was worth 50 points, and the paper that was due that was 100 points, and then the exam was 100 points. And I expected to get an A in my limnology class, and so I needed to get at least a C in that class to be able to keep the B average. And so, sorry, this video is going to be like heavily edited because of all the stuff I've got. I actually got something, my ear is like plugged, which is actually kind of like a metallic ringing sound because of the way it's plugged. And so I forgot what I was talking about. So the exam, I was really worried about it, and I thought that I did fairly well on the 2 assignments, but the professor for that class has been extremely hard, like seriously really hard. And like we would turn in things that we thought were B plus, A quality, and we'd get it back and we'd get a D minus, and it was just like we could not get anything. And like I mentioned, we had to do an experiment. Our whole experiment went wrong. He basically took 2 zooplankton species and put them together, and we ended up getting contamination where we got another zooplankton species, and so, I mean, everything was just horribly wrong. And so I figured out that mathematically, to even get a possible B plus, I could only lose 10 points out of the 250 points that were due that week. And so I was a little bit stressed, and I think there was a little bit of that, where I mentioned a little bit of it in the last video, or not the last video, the last one was silent, but so that's what happened, and all the stress from that kind of made me sleep deprived and stressed out and worried. And so Wednesday I was kind of okay. By Wednesday night I wanted to come home and drink and then just relax and not worry about it. I had pretty much all my grades finished for the TA stuff, and I had the ability to come home and drink. And I came home on Wednesday and I had a sore throat. And then by Thursday I had started sneezing and coughing a lot. And so I was pretty miserable. Saturday-ish I started to feel better. And then I think on Sunday we woke up and it was like 40-something degrees outside after being like 32 for days and days. And then after that happened, it got up to like the high 40s, maybe even the low 50s. I didn't really check the highs or anything. It's just the forecasted high, which was like 48 or something like that. And I have seasonal asthma. Basically, when the weather fluctuates a lot, my body goes, ah, and I start producing like mass mucus, and my lung tubes kind of constrict, and I can't breathe or anything. And so I basically started to do that, and there were some other things that happened. Some personal issues with Mike's family. Two of them ended up going to the hospital. They're both fine, but that was really stressful, and it's something that's still kind of going on right now. And so my body just kind of freaked out from the weather change, and then the next day it got down to like 16. So I ended up falling asleep on the couch a couple times, and every time I woke up from sleeping on the couch, I was worse. And so now I'm all drugged up with everything I can find. Right now, I think like Clarinex, my inhaler, Mucinex D, cough drops. I think that's it. But I have to do everything. Like when my nose gets really bad, sometimes I'll even use mouthwash, because that usually clears out my nose pretty well. So I'm probably taking a really long time for this video, but I think a lot of it's going to get edited out because I'm not going to include all my coughing fits and whatnot. So this might end up being a two-part video. So recently I looked at my grades and I found out that I actually got a B+ in the zooplankton class. And so I think he ended up giving us a little bit of a grade adjustment. Some people are always like, oh, I hope she curves, or I hope he curves. And really, when they curve it, they make like a certain number of people get A's and a certain number of people get D's. And like, it doesn't really benefit a lot of people. Like, if everyone had an A or a B, and if they curve it, then the people that had 85% could end up with an E. So technically, what a lot of teachers and professors do is that they adjust the scale so that a B becomes an A and a C becomes a B, to a certain extent, or they just give everyone a certain number of points to raise them up, or something like that. And so I suspect that he did that because I think that I did well on the assignments, but really losing only 10 points out of 250 for any class, especially with written exams. The exam for him, I ended up with, I think, 8 pages. Basically, we walked in and he gave us a legal pad and a sheet with some questions, and we had to answer 5 of the questions. I think there was 2 of them that were just like answer this question, and the last 3 were answer A or B. And it took me about 2 hours and 15-ish minutes, and I got, I think, like 12 hand cramps during the exam. And so I doubt that I could have only missed 10 points. And especially what was really stressful was that before the exam he told us that we were going to need to use like resources. So of all the journal articles that we had read over the semester and the people that we had talked about and the research that was done, we had to be able to say like Dodson and Richardson did this. And so that was really kind of stressful. So I think right now I've kind of babbled on enough. I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about. But I'm going to take a break from talking to show the house. I just sort of finished doing step, I guess, 2. And I also had to take the trash can out from the front. So I grabbed my camcorder, since I had to go out there anyway. And I got a quick video in the front. So I think it's probably a little bit better quality. I'm not sure if I can use the sound from this and play it over the audio, or the audio from outside. So I'll talk about it, and then if I can't do that, then it'll just get cut out, and you'll just hear the wind blowing through the microphone outside.